Welcome back to our Thought for the Day. It's good to have you with us, and I hope you're having a good week so far. All this week we're going to be thinking about the gospel, the good news of Jesus Christ. You'll hear Christians speaking of spreading the gospel and preaching the good news and sharing the good news of their faith. And we saw on Monday how those two words come from a Greek word that speaks of victory and talks of political and personal message that brings joy. And how the gospel, we ask the question, what is the gospel? And the gospel really is the story of Jesus' death for our sin, his resurrection from the grave, his ascension back to heaven where he is now, and his soon return to judge the living and the dead. And then we're going to spend the rest of this week asking the question, why is the message of Easter, the story of Jesus' death and resurrection, why is it good news? Why is the gospel also good news? And we're going to do that by seeing how the New Testament describes that word gospel with the extra words it puts on it. And we saw on Monday how it's the gospel of peace. And today we're looking at the words of Paul in the book of Acts, where he describes it as the gospel of grace. And that's really a wonderful description, the gospel of grace. The good news is an act of grace. We're going to come on to that just today for a few minutes. And this word grace, the grace of God, cuts really to the heart of Christian theology, really cuts to the heart of what Christianity is all about. Almost actually to the very heart of the character of God. God is a God of grace, a God of goodness and love and kindness. All those words fit together, but he's a God of grace. And what is this word grace? What does the word grace mean? And why should it be attached to the gospel, the work of Jesus? A lot of people, when they think of grace, they think of being graceful, perhaps a ballroom dancer or someone eloquently speaking with graceful tones. In the Bible, the word grace refers to the undeserved favour of God. And that really is, when you stop and think, the most intriguing, incredible thing. The undeserved favour of God. Who is God? Well, he is the everlasting, eternal being, the uncreated creator, the one who is both everywhere and above everything, yet close to us. The one who made the entire universe just with a command. Let there be light. Out of nothing he spoke and there was something. A universe and time and space and matter. He's the one that built everything one molecule at a time until it was good. And this God, who is enormous and amazing, incredible, should look on us, his tiny creation, and give us unmerited favour. When you begin to unpack that word and then attach it to who God is, and then who we are. We are often those who turn our backs on God and say, I'm not interested in you, whatever. Yet that God demonstrates unmerited favour on us human beings who so often turn our backs on him. And it really is quite something when you ponder it. Ephesians 2 verses 8 to 9 describes this grace of God and our salvation in the most wonderful of ways. Paul again writes, for it is by grace you have been saved through faith. And this is not from yourselves, it is a gift of God. Not by works so that no one can boast. Let me read that again. For it is by grace you have been saved through faith. It is not from yourselves, it is the gift of God. Not by works so that no one can boast. Salvation, according to Christian theology, according to the truth of God in God's word, isn't something we can earn. It's something that God gives to us. The undeserved favour of God, his grace was shown best at the cross of Christ. John 3:16 says, God so loved the world that he gave his one and only Son, that whoever believes in him shall not perish but have everlasting life. But no, that's not the good or the most holy or the religious, but any will have everlasting life because of God's love. The work of Jesus at the cross and the tomb and his ascension and his return is a work of the grace of the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. Unmerited favour on a world that is so often dark, so often turning their back on the good things God has already told us that we should do. Salvation is by grace. So many of us think that we can earn our way into heaven, that if we work really hard to be really good and so on, do the right things, when we get to the pearly gates, God will say, come in, you're good enough. But the truth is we will never be good enough for a holy God. And so our holy God sent his most precious Son He came and became one of us, fully man and fully God. He became both God and man at the same time. He took our sin onto his shoulders, was nailed to a tree. The ultimate, undeserved, graceful act by God himself, the Son of God, nailed and killed and put to death willingly, so that we who often turn our backs on him are able to go into his presence, towards his throne of grace, as it's described in the New Testament. It is the most wonderful thing. Why is the death of Jesus good news? Because he died in our place, because of God's grace, because God wanted us. Somebody once said that the word grace simply means God's riches at Christ's expense. You see, mercy is not being given what you deserve. Grace is being given what you don't deserve. And at the cross, God gave the best he had, his only Son, to take our sin, our punishment, our brokenness, so that we could be restored to him. How wonderful is that word, grace? And I hope you ponder it today. God bless you, and we'll see you tomorrow.